Little Cup always have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you one day.
Tell us what needs to be in there.
One of y'all, one of y'all that do the prayer. Who's talking? Portman speaking. Anyway, one of y'all do the prayer. Okay. We're gonna call the June 11th, 2024 City Council meeting to order. Remind everybody to silence their phones. Here Shirley's gonna lead us in prayer.
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, I thank you, and we thank you for allowing us to be here again today to handle the business of the city. Father, we thank you for our life, our health, our strength, your grace, and your mercy. Asking Heavenly Father that you will help us to make the best decisions concerning those issues coming before us this evening. Asking that you will guide our thoughts so that we will make the best decisions possible. Asking that you will guide this meeting so that it is held in a safe and orderly fashion. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilmember Bryant. Here. Councilmember Hampton. Here. Councilmember Woodhull. Vice Mayor Landry. Here. Mayor Ketchum.
Here. Approval of items on the consent agenda. Doesn't seem to be any. Item number 4, receiving requests from the general public. The council welcomes you to this meeting. This time is set aside for our citizens and the general public to address the council on any matter not included on the agenda. This is not a question or answer time. It's not a political forum, nor is it a time for personal accusation or derogatory remarks. If you would like to address the council, please come to the podium when you're called, speak into the microphone, and state your name and address for the record. Please also limit your comments to not more than 5 minutes for individuals and 10 minutes for groups or delegations. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on anything not on the agenda? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to item number 5, which will be the bids. We have one for the Train Depot Reef Project.
Right, the roof.
Ma'am?
The roof.
Yeah.
Okay, please read before opening the sealed bids. Currently, I'm opening the sealed bid for the City of Cary's Train Depot Roof Project. I will only be reading out the vendor and the amount of the bid. There will be no discussion this time about any bids being open. These bids will be given back to the purchasing agent and then to the department which the sealed bid is for. The city reserves the right to reject any and all bids. The city reserves the right to select a bidder, waive any informalities, or to accept the bid deemed to be in the best interest of the city. Any errors in bid submissions are the responsibility of the bidder. All right, we have a return letter from Keith SD Seal Coating. And we're opening one from Lewis. Please walk with me. Okay, here's their bottom line, it's $34,570.
That's Walker. That's
Yeah,
Walker.
Lewis Walker Roofing. This other one, it says Shane Villarreal. It's just the
What's that again? I'm sorry.
Shane Villarreal is the name on the exterior of the
Okay.
package, but we might have another name. set copies that we've already done. Theirs is $57,231.61. Yeah, yeah. Villarreal, Lane. Liability insurance. Next Dimension Construction. For insurance, so I guess they're related. Oh,
That don't go to that bid,
It's-
that goes to a different bid.
well, I have no way of knowing that. It just was Keith Estes still putting, so
That's for the Strawman.
got handed to me,
No, sorry.
so. no worries.
Hey, what's the address on that last bid that you quoted? What city or whatever?
Yeah, Summerfield, Florida.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Katie, you don't have any, there's no recommendations or anything, is there any bids last meeting, so,
We'll get back to you.
all right. General business, agenda item 6A. Katie Hall with Florida Gas Utility to discuss price hedging and council will take any action deemed necessary. Hello.
Perfect. I'm Katie Hall. I'm the general manager and CEO of Florida Gas Utility. I also have with me Jenny Sweat. She's our operations director, and Robert Grace is our member services manager. Thank you all for having us here tonight to present this to you.
You for buying.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Feel free to stop me at any point in this presentation with any questions. I know that hedging can be a little bit complicated, so if you get lost, feel free to stop me. So hedging is a type of investment that's intended to reduce risk. It can be hedged, we can hedge almost anything. So we can hedge anything here, any commodity. So as we have here, you have corn, apples, gas, natural gas. I mean, there's a variety of things that can be hedged. There's also several types of financial products, but we're going to try to keep it simple today. And let's just start with futures contracts and call options. And we'll explain a little bit further of what that means. But we're trying to keep this as simple and look at this as an introduction to hedging. So why do we hedge? This is a very important slide. Hedging is not an attempt to beat the market. This is not an attempt to try to get the lowest price of gas. The point of this is to try to reduce price volatility. So what we hear, especially from cities, is people want budgets, they want to meet budgets, they want stability, they want rate stability, and it's kind of like an insurance policy. So we're not trying to get you the lowest price per se, we're trying to keep the volatility from month to month so that your residents and your customers can have the stability across the year. When should we hedge? So truly a good hedging program is ongoing. The problem is most of the time people don't look at hedging programs until prices start to run away. And we'll talk about this here in a minute. We'll show you when this happens. It's happened in 2022 was the most recent time. So prices start to go very high and everybody has a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, we need to stop the bleeding. Reality is now prices come back down like they are and everybody becomes complacent and they kind of forget that. It becomes, history. So what we're saying is right now is exactly the right time to hedge and have a program in place that's ongoing to avoid those price spikes in the market. Currently, prices, and they've gone up a little bit, but they've been less than $2 a decatherm, which is how we buy it. Decatherm is 10 therms. You guys probably, I think you bill in therms, correct? Right, yeah, so you guys deal in therms. So roughly that's 20 cents a therm it's been the ongoing price of gas recently. It's come up a little bit. However, we're concerned that in the future, these prices are going to go up for a couple reasons. So LNG is liquefied natural gas. I'm sure some of you have heard this in the news. There's lots of operations that are being built as we speak in ports like Jacksonville and Louisiana. where they are compressing this natural gas to a liquefied form, and they're using it for boats, they're using it for trains, they're using it actually even on rocket ships. And so they're taking our same gas that we're drilling for, that has typically been sent to cities, and now they're liquefying it and even exporting it overseas. So we see that all this LNG is coming, that's just increasing the supply, right? The producer contracts are ending. A lot of this, they term up with elections. And so they're coming to an end, and with prices as low as they are, some of those producers might not continue their contracts because they're operating at a loss right now. So that reduces supply. Then you also have above average pricing for summer. We're all talking about the heat right now. So as the prices go up, or they will go up in the summer, because as we have those really hot temperatures, they use more gas to generate electricity for our AC. So we have a lot more demand in the summer. And then in the winter, we've been very fortunate the last couple of years to have well, I say fortunate for us, that we've had these mild winters. It's a numbers game. We're due for a pretty cold winter. And I don't mean Florida, I mean the whole country. Because what happens is when you have these real winter, then they take all the supply and they send it to those places that really need it. So now you have, again, increased demand from both the electric load in the summer and the winter load for heating. So all of those things show us that the supply and demand balance is adjusting. So this is what the market is showing right now. So these are forward curve projections. This is just what algorithms say prices are going to do. So you're always going to see a little bump over winter. So on the left-hand side is the 1-year curve. It starts in July, and then you see that little bump over the winter. So if it's starting at $3 right now, we're going up to about $4 in the winter, and then it kind of comes back down. However, you can see that it doesn't end at the same point it starts. So what the curve on the right side is a 3-year curve. So you see that gradually over 3 years, even though we're seeing the spikes in the winter and it comes back down, it's still gradually climbing. This slide shows of how the left-hand side with all the little spikes, that shows what prices have actually done. So you see they've come down there, and we were enjoying that $1.50 to $2 range there for a while, and now you've seen recently it's coming back up. The 3 colored graph or lines on the right side of the graph, this shows the orange one shows the most recent. This was in May of 2024. The green one though was in December, and the blue one was in May last year. So what the point of this slide is to show you is that even though as we are closer to the actual prices right now, there's a little bit more of a spread, they're all ending up in the same projections. They're not changing this projection from a year ago. They're all ending up climbing, and they're all getting tighter together, which means they're more confident that these prices are going to go in that direction. Products. Like I mentioned before, there's tons of financial products out there. What we recommend for cities, we say to either stick with futures contracts, which is basically a set price. So this is whatever financial price you set, that is the price you'll pay. A call option is you're essentially setting a ceiling price. So this is the most you'll pay. That means if when you set this call option, if prices don't go down, you enjoy the lower price. However, enjoying that luxury has a small additional premium to that. So this slide kind of shows this in an illustration. So the graph on the left, this is a futures price that's locked in at about 320. So you see that yellow dotted line, that's the actual price you would pay, is everything shaded underneath that. So even when the prices go up there, you're not paying that higher price. On the right-hand side though, this is a call option. So now you've set your max at about 340. And you can see in the beginning of that curve, when prices are below that, you enjoy that lower price. However, when the curve goes up above your call option, that's your ceiling. You don't pay anything higher than that call option. To put this from a historical perspective, so what I referred to earlier, we saw this in 2022. We called it the basis blowout. What happened is there was a variety of things that happened in the market. It was kind of a perfect storm, and prices jumped pretty dramatically. So these are actual numbers that we saw in the market. You can see on the left-hand side, if you would have locked in a $7.50 hedge, which $7.50 for a decatherm, that's pretty high. That's about double what we're seeing, even more than what we're seeing right now. But if you would have locked in that hedge, you can see you look like the hero there at the beginning. But then when the prices came down, in July, then everybody's going, okay, they all got quiet, they said, okay, prices have come back down, we're good. Then when prices went back up and kept going up, that's about the time everybody panicked and locked in hedges. And then you can see now the prices come back down and now everybody's going, oh, why did we do that? So again, if you would just have this rolling program, most people that had a program in place had prices locked in about the 250 range, just to put this in perspective. So what happened is everybody was trying to react to the market and then they were paying a premium for it. To put this also an example on the right side, if you would have done a call option at that time, so as the market jumps over, so say you put in a call option at $8, which your call is usually going to be a little bit higher than the futures price. So that's why there's a difference between $7.50 and $8. If you would have done the $8, you would have seen there that you enjoy when the prices go below that, you enjoy those lower prices. But again, you prevented, you had a ceiling. So when the prices jumped up, you reduced that volatility there. So naturally, you're gonna ask me, what does that premium look like? Well, that call option looks really appealing, but there's a premium to it. So it's usually tied to the futures price. So the futures price in this example right now is about $3.39 a decatherm. That's right now what you could lock in a futures price for. For a call option, the whole point of this slide is to show you that based on that strike price, the further you get away from that strip price, the less of a premium you're gonna pay. So these are not your only options. There's lots of flexibility. We just wanted to give you an example. So you can see it at $3.50 for the year, which is pretty close to that futures price. You would pay a premium of 4 cents a therm, which is about 12% of that strike price. Which again, 4 cents to your customers to reduce that volatility, it is still very much worth it. But if you give yourself a little bit more cushion, so you go to $4, now you're only paying about 3 cents of a premium. And even further, you go to $4.50, which is about $1 off of the futures price, you're now only paying 2 cents per therm. Again, to keep with the point of that, you're paying for that nice smooth price throughout the year. That's the point. So the quantity that we're proposing, again, because this is a rolling program, what we're recommending is that you can go up to 75%, 12 months out. So again, this is going to roll. So in a month from now, it's going to still be 12 months out from that date. Up to 50%, 24 months out, and up to 25%, 36 months out. So this is going to roll. So basically, we would stack these products on top of each other as you look out further and further. To show that for the city of Perry, you can see that orange colored line, that's your average usage. And so that kind of teal color to the left, that's at 75% hedged. That orange is 50% hedged and the green is 25% hedged. So it kind of shows you how much of your gas that you're purchasing is going to kind of have the stability. And then additionally, FGU, who buys your gas, we're looking at implementing a very similar program for our system supply, which is basically that little swing part that we fill in the gap. So you would get the benefit of us also reducing some of that volatility without being financially on the hook for it yourself. So the price that we're gonna get are that strike price. So this is where we would lock in either that futures price or that call option price. So this is gonna be what you pay or the ceiling that you pay. We would establish that based on the budget number you guys have for your price per therm. Assuming that you guys publish that in the budget every year, what you expect gas prices to be. So we would say, whatever that budget price is, we would take that, and then there's a couple little things related to your gas supply. It's not just the cost of gas. There's transportation costs that you have to pay the pipeline to actually get the gas to your city. And then it's called a basis differential. I don't want to get into the weeds on it unless you ask me, but it's basically there's a difference between the point where they price this stuff, the financial hedges, and then where we're actually taking it into Florida. It's a small amount. It's about 10 cents a therm for both of those things combined. So if for instance, if your budgeted price is $5 or 50 cents, I should say a therm, we would remove 10 cents from that, and then that would become your strike price. So the point of that is saying this hedging program is going to lock in at or below the budgeted amount for gas in the city's budget. So this is a tool to help achieve your budget goals. That's what this is. And again, because it's gonna look out, this would change as your budget. So if prices go down, this would follow that. If prices go up in your budget, they would follow that. It's gonna mirror your budget. Couple other pieces of information. So these parameters that we're asking for, you would sign a directive here that gives us these parameters, and they provide flexibility to take advantage of favorable market opportunities. So what does that mean? For instance, we saw, I don't know if any of you heard about it or it's just us in the gas world. When that basis blowout happened, prices shot up at the kind of the summer, the end of the summer into the fall of 2022. The whole reason that they came back down to where they are now was two things. One is that nobody had a real winter, so that helped with the supply issue or the demand issue. But the biggest thing that happened was there was an LNG facility in Louisiana that had an explosion. And when that LNG facility exploded, it was big news because that facility alone used half of what the entire state of Florida uses in a day. That's how big that impact was. So now you've had this huge surplus, right, of this gas that had nowhere to go. That's what brought the prices down. Well, what we saw is if we would have had a directive in place when something like that happened, prices dropped through the, they just fell instantly. If we could have moved in that moment, we could have locked in about $3 gas instead of $6.50, $7. So what we're saying is give us the flexibility that when we see that stuff happen, we can move on it on your behalf. Because in exchange is then that LNG facility, the flip side of this is then they had issued an announcement the next day and said, oh, it wasn't that much damage. We'll be back up by the end of the month. What did prices do? They jumped right back up to where they were. There was literally about a 12-hour benefit of those prices dropping. So, I mean, this wasn't something we can say, hey, let's take the time, bring it to your council. There was no time for that. So I'm not saying this always happens, but if we have that flexibility, we can help you guys if we have these parameters in place. Additionally, you can terminate this directive at any time. So just because we put it in place, this we would see as an ongoing thing. If you're unhappy with it at any time, I mean, you call us up, shut it down, it's done. You would still be locked into whatever deal would be locked in on your behalf, but we would stop any other products at that point. So you're not committed to some term or rolling term or something like that. So our recommendation is to approve a rolling hedging directive. And in that directive, these are the three key components. So the product would be either with the futures contracts, again, that's that set price, and or call options, which is that ceiling, and the associated premium that would come with that call option. The quantity would be those three tiers, so up to 75% for a year out, 50% for 2 years out, and 25% for 3 years out. And that strike price would be based on the city's budgeted price per term minus that transportation and basis differential to keep you guys right at that budget amount at or below. Are there any questions? I know this is quite a lot of information.
Yes, I have a question. How does something like a GP leaving and they bought gas from us, how does that affect this situation?
So the GP deal was slightly different because they were not, the city did not buy their gas for them. So their volumes were not included in that chart that I showed you.
Okay, but
So-
what if they had been?
If they had been, well, there's a couple things. You can always, you can say we want our usage and you can remove somebody from that. So if you say we want the volumes, 75% of our average usage without somebody like Georgia Pacific in there, we can certainly do that.
That has to be done up front, though.
It does if you want it based on, if you want the percentages based on your throughput, yes, we would need to know what to exclude. But we can do that, that's easy. And if you don't have to set on those percentages, if you want to kind of ease into it, that's an option.
Thank you.
Hi, Katie.
Hey,
So what current products and smoothing type things do we currently have in place with y'all?
you do not have any hedging products right now.
Any cost smoothing or?
You have prepaid transactions.
Okay.
These would be piled on top of this. So for instance, if you locked in a $4 hedge, your discounted gas, that cost would go on top of that. So if you have a 30-cent discount, you would have your hedge, that's what you pay, minus your 30 cents. That.
You used, and I wish I'd counted them, might, maybe, could. 100 times, Robert. What's the downside that we could be faced with? When you're hedging, you know, with commodity, you're hedging, you're buying and selling and buying and selling. You wouldn't be doing that in this.
No, so this is a financial hedge. So the physical purchasing and selling of gas is not affected. So so basically what's happening is at FGU side, we're buying and selling the physical gas. But this is just financial, and then we get that when that bill comes to you. So regardless of what we actually paid for the gas, the price that you locked in, that's what you pay. So if we pay more than the gas, you still only pay that. If we pay less for the gas, in a futures contract, you still pay the futures price. If it's a call option and we pay less, you get the benefit of the less. So the buying and selling the physical gas is completely independent from the financial side.
Who's doing this now?
Like participating in a hedging program or I'm sorry.
Keep going.
We have, I think 3 or 4 of our members that are currently hedging. And to be completely honest with you, we have several that I will be coming and presenting to that are interested in this. And I'll tell you, so here's the key to it. When we had the prices, hold on, take a step back. Your question of the downside, I'm going to tell you the downside. I started with it at the beginning of this. If your whole point is to get the lowest cost of gas, if you try to look at this as winning or losing, there will always be a time when you're losing. Right? And I showed that on one of the slides where when prices came down, if you had it locked in, you are technically losing because you're paying in that month more than what spot prices are at. However, what we have found is that if you have customers that, well, either residential customers that are especially like on a budget, they're not calling you necessarily because prices are increasing. They're calling you when there's huge changes from month to month, right? They expect a stable, so if their gas bill is normally $40 and next month it's $42, they're not calling. If it's normally 40 and the next month it's 60, they're calling. Even if it goes back down to 40, they still are going to call you about that, right? But then on the commercial side, we have companies that are asphalt plants, or they produce telephone poles, or they produce pounds of fertilizer, tons of fertilizer. They were having trouble because they can't price their product because their inputs were fluctuating all over the place. So they were calling us saying, hey, how can I stabilize my gas costs so I can now price my products to sell? So what we hear over and over is the stability is what matters to them. They can budget for it accordingly. So again, you might not have on any given month the lowest cost of gas, but this will help stabilize it across the year. And that's usually what prevents the customers from calling in.
You used you being the city of Perry and we being our gas. Well, what's in it for you?
We just think it's a good value to our members. We always listen to what.
You're not answering my question.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
There's nothing in it for us. You're talking about like financially?
You just said it was, so. You said you did this and we get this if this happens.
No, I said we get calls. We get calls from your customers. That's what we're getting. We're getting calls about complaints, about prices and saying, hey, how can we lock in prices? And we tell them that if you're a customer of the city, they have to call you guys to lock that in. So that's why we're here, is saying this is what complaints we're hearing. We're trying to reduce those complaints.
What have we got to do? Who's doing it now? You said you had 3. Who are they? This is a public entity. All information is public. So
We're in public records, yeah. So, City of Marietta is doing it, Fort Pierce is doing it, Lake City, Clearwater, Tallahassee. They all have hedging programs.
what they've got is staff that we don't have. We got people to work. We got people that go to conventions and sit behind a desk. What is it, any burden on us? Or is that something that's
No,
all
this is
policy?
no burden to any of them. This doesn't require any additional staff at all. This is a decision of how you want to try to mitigate price volatility with gas. It's a directive. They would sign the same directive that you guys would sign. And then we implement that on your behalf and include it on your bill. It is no additional work to you or to any of those things.
What's that premium? Good.
That would be included on the price. So if you locked in, say, $3.50, the bill you would receive then is $3.54.
4.3 actually good.
That is what we pay to the company that we lock in the hedge, the financial institution that we lock in the hedge. Now, and to also, sorry, I just want to also say though, on the futures price, because it looks like, you lock in that price there. The downside to that one though is something called a margin call. So if prices drop, so say you lock in $3.50 and prices go down to $3.25, FGU on your behalf pays that 25-cent difference. And we have to pay that every day because they have to be kept whole. Now, on the flip side, if prices go above that, they return us that money. So just so you know, so there's always a trend, you're always paying for whichever product that you lock in. It's just a matter of whether you pay it on the price itself at the end once the product closes, or if you pay it every day as the market fluctuates. But again, that's a value we do for you.
Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, I want to see if I am or not, because I really don't know that I am. You're looking into the past and predicting the future.
Somewhat, yes. I mean, we're learning from the past, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're taking the past, you learn what's going on, kind of what we use. They've used an average of X amount over the past 5 years, so we can kind of project over the next year, 2 or 3, depending on what direction we go, which is why the percentages drop. And you're just smoothing a flat line instead of a fluctuation.
Yeah, because see what happens is prices, as you saw in the curve, they go up in the winter.
Right,
But what also goes up in the winter? Consumption.
right.
Because then your customers get hit with a double whammy of they have higher usage and a higher price. Well, then right now, or like shoulder months, for instance, which is like April or October, when prices or temperatures are fairly mild, they're not buying a lot and prices are low. So now you get this, that's when they see these huge spikes, because they go from low usage, low prices to high usage, high prices, and their bill is gonna jump. And then they're calling you guys complaining about their bill. So what we're trying to do is just smooth that. So it's a stabilization over the year.
Duke Energy has a program you can get into that does pretty much the exact same thing. Just takes your history and predicts the future and smooths out your monthly bill.
Correct. And
Yes.
we don't have a crystal ball, right? If I could tell you exactly what the market's gonna do, I wouldn't have to stand here tonight. But, so this is again, this is based on our best information that we have in front of us.
Sure.
So just caveating that. But we see it as if you can lock in something around $3 a decatherm, $4 a decatherm, even $5 a decatherm. That's 50 cents to your customers per therm versus we've seen prices. The reality of them jumping up to $8, $9, $10 a decatherm or more is much higher than prices coming down that way. So we see it as that you're not buying that insurance once your house is on fire, right? We're buying the insurance before the house is on fire. Your house may never catch on fire, and then do you look at it and say, well, I paid all this insurance, I never needed it, and I lost? I mean, that's what this is, right? Is we're just trying to say, hey, let's reduce that risk. That if we need it, we have it.
When Bill was speaking, it reminded me, that newer billing spreadsheet that we have. And there's a page in there on one of those worksheets that we're not really using, that we can actually have the council vote to put 3 cents per decatherm or cubic foot or whatever for the billing mechanism, so that then that money sits in our coffers and offsets in the months that are high. And this way we're controlling the money. It just sits in there for the billing. And I know back when we would have terrible bills, when I worked for you and Sarah, we would sometimes manually do that. We add 10,000 or delete 10,000 from the billing to smooth it, and we feed it back in over the months to create a manual smoothing. Well, they've got a spreadsheet to do that. And that's something that you folks can vote, say X number of pennies per whatever measurement, and that would net so much money in there. And so then it stays in-house.
And this is exactly trying to achieve the same thing that rate stabilization fund is doing. It's just locking in that versus manually doing it. Because you can build up, like you said, build up those coffers, but then if you have huge prices, if you don't have enough built up to offset that, you're stuck. This is just another tool to help. Because so again, if you did the call option and prices drop, you don't necessarily have to pass all of that through to your customers, right? You can use that to say, we're still gonna keep prices stable and build that up a little bit through this product rather than riding the market. But it's to achieve the exact same goal. This is just another tool.
What is our cost?
It changes every month.
Because of the usage.
What she said. I don't understand her correctly.
It's smoothing it. It will sometimes, like you said, sometimes you're paying a little bit more and sometimes you're paying a little bit less. But the goal is to smooth it. And so it's the same thing I was talking about. So.
Right.
A residential customer that has higher usage, when gas is high, you're hurting. Whoever uses the same amount of gas every month, the commercial user, you're hurting them a little bit, but they like the stability.
They love the stability. I mean, you can call them and ask them, if they can lock in the price, because again, they're passing that on, right? So that, like a ton of asphalt, they're gonna build that into the cost they sell it. So they don't really care to a degree. If the price goes up slightly, if they have that consistency, they will take that every day.
Okay, over the past, today we're at $2.90 per decatherm. The 52-week high has been $3.57 and the low has been $1.53.
Sounds about right.
So it's gone all over the place in the past 12 months.
And that's the stock market pricing, not what we're paying.
Right, that's what the market's.
Like I said, there's costs because that's just what you physically, or that's what you buy the gas, but then you have to pay costs to get it here.
Sure,
So
you gotta pay
that-
transportation.
Correct, there's things to it, but yes, you can just see that it does bounce. And so we're just trying to smooth that out, and you're looking at it, you said that was over how long?
1 year,
1 year.
52 weeks. Yeah.
You can terminate anytime you want to.
You can terminate it anytime you want to. Now, like I said, whatever you've locked in, you're still on the hook for, but you can say, please don't add any,
Going forward.
correct, and you just terminate it.
For the past 3 months, it's really gone, well, it's been like $1.60 up to $2.90, so it's
It's low.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing, it's been stable, and then that's why we're here, is right now, this is not on anybody's radar for the most part, because it's not a problem, right? It's once it becomes a problem, it's when everybody goes, why are prices so high and what can we do about it? So the reality is now is the time to do something about those features.
If they go to $20, it loses.
If you have something in place, not you,
Somebody loses.
somebody does, yeah.
the people that don't have anything locked in to reduce that volatility.
Well, I can say the customers, when they start getting those winter bills, they always say, I've never used this much gas. They think they have a gas leak, but when you go and explain to them, your usage is the same as last year, just the amount's gone up. They're having hard times
The gas price is high.
and gas prices higher. And I think it's wonderful. That's just me for across the board because these older people are on fixed budgets, but I'm not a finance guru either, but dealing with the public and what I deal with every day,
We're going out,
it's. Once you explain to them, your usage is the same as last year, then they understand it, but
It's just the price.
yeah, it's just, get it to their pocketbook.
It would change our methodology as to how we run the department, financial side of it. But, it's just something we have to pay more attention to.
How would it change, Bill?
We've
Why would
got
it
so
change?
many things in place now, and they send it to us in a bill.
The way, we don't bill or budget the way she's talking about
Yeah.
budgeting.
Yeah.
And if you have another way to determine that strike price, we're open to it. We were just offering something up, because a lot of our cities told us they take what our projected price per third, which is based on the future curve. And that's what we say, this is right now what everybody's projecting. And so we can mirror off of that if you guys want. The whole thing is typically when we come to city councils and gotten hedging parameters approved, we're just doing it for a defined time. So if we say 1 year, we set an actual strike price of $3.39 for the next 12 months. What we're trying to avoid is having to come back to you every 6 months, every year, every whatever, and say, hey, let's just have a program that can just keep going. And if we need to tweak it, we can, but we have those parameters in place. That's what we're trying to do. So, I mean, if there's another way that we need to work on how we establish that strike price, we can do that. But to your point about the way that it's changing the financial side of the billing, it will come through from our perspective. It's just the cost of gas, how we send the bill. It'll look exactly the same. It might all just have the like clarification on the bill, but as far as like how you pay, and then you take that total cost of gas and divide it up by your usage, and that will all function the same. Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about 75% for 1 year, 25% goes with the market,
Correct.
and 50% for 2 years, and then 50% goes with the market and so on. I'm assuming the further out it goes, the drop is because the crystal ball gets a little less clear
Yeah. We don't.
as you go further out,
Unless we see something like if you could lock in $1.50 3 years out,
right?
oh man, we come to you and say, you need to lock this in for 10 years if you can,
Right.
it's just, that's not sustainable. We're just looking at it as, yes, as you get closer, it becomes a little more true of what those costs are gonna be. But even at 3 years out, if you can reduce some of that volatility, it just helps. And keep in mind, you just brought up a good point, where it's 75% is locked in and 25% is spot market. That means that when we send the bill to Penny, it's not your full gas cost at that fixed price, right? It is still gonna fluctuate a little bit month to month because you're gonna have that 25% in the spot market. So you'll still have a little bit of risk to that volatility, but it won't be the impact it's having 100%.
Would be very difficult to do 100 because,
We wouldn't advise.
right, yeah, because
The reason I asked who, when you're talking about these big places, Tallahassee's got a whole crew of people sitting in there dealing with this kind of stuff. We don't have that. But I can tell you, when you're talking about the knowledge in something like this, they got a lot more than I got. And I'll follow those that I know have got more IQ about this kind of stuff than me. That makes sense.
I've never really understood the futures market myself. I understand this is not a true futures market. It's more of a smoothing, but you are to a point looking into the future.
So the way they
So-
get that one price on the future.
But it's a very educated guess, but it is looking into the future.
It is,
Yeah.
it's an algorithm.
Yeah.
But why we have like one price where it had that $3.39 for the whole year is, as you saw on the curve, it does change. So what they do is
Sure.
they take the prices for every month and they take an average. So they're basically
Right.
smoothing it for you. So that's how you get that one price for a whole 12-month period.
They just take the whole price, divide it by whatever unit, days, weeks, months, whatever, and
Yeah, so when they think the prices will be higher there in the winter, so they're taking those high days, they're taking the low days, they average all of that, and that's how you get to the 3.39. So again, that changes minute to minute, literally, in the market.
I would like to hear what John has to say.
Real good thing for the citizens, residential customers to flatten their bill out. And it's also gonna flatten the few commercial users we got. They'll be able to predict their bills a lot better too, once we tell them what the price is gonna be.
And you can do this as well as use the in-house system for a penny on whatever we determine.
Right, because what's gonna happen still, so let's just say we're locked into $4. Like we talked about earlier, that winter, your usage is still gonna go up. So if you think that, hey, we know everybody's usage goes up, even though the price doesn't, you can still do what Penny's talking about and now manipulate that where when they have lower usage, the price goes up a little bit per unit. So then when you come to the higher unit, that price goes down a little bit, so overall those prices are the same. So you can still, you use this in conjunction with your other tools to help smooth that for everybody. So all of these things we're implementing for the city or recommending is all tools to help do that for your residents. And we can help as much, and maybe help set up a spreadsheet. If we need to tweak it, we can do that. We're here to help because that's what we're hearing from residents and from councils.
What are you going to do for us?
We just need a directive, what we need is for you to authorize, John to sign a directive for us to implement this program.
Is this something we can do year to year,
Yeah, if you would like to do that, of course.
like 75% every year type thing, or?
Yep, and that's what we do, it would be rolling. So you can do the directive that just says all of that can continue. So like at this time next year, we would take, so if we locked in 50%, we can add another 25%, right? That gets you to 75%. If
Right.
you would like us to come back and revisit and look at the program, we can do that too.
What do y'all think? You wanna give it a try and see how it goes?
I would like to. Motion to do.
Second.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodhull.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara, Vice Mayor Landry.
Yes.
Laura, did I miss somebody?
Mayor.
Mayor.
Yes.
I keep wanting to call you Mayor.
Mayor, Burr.
Now
Is
does,
this really to ask you? Okay, I
Yes.
feel like I've missed somebody. Sorry.
now does John decide on the rate or how do we do that?
Get with the expert.
I say do 75% for the 1 year, and let's see where it goes.
That's what John.
They had 75 for 12, 50%, 24, 25% for 36, and then the year ones that just keep rolling on and on and on. Till you tell me it's a terrible deal this year.
Yeah, and like I said, just because we have up to, doesn't mean we have to lock that in. So if the market does not look favorable, we're not going to lock in that deal for you guys. We just have that ability to go up to those levels. And if the market doesn't cooperate, we won't. do that.
Do you wait and look at our budget to tell us what rate we should use? or-
Yes, and that's what we would work with, just to kind of see where you guys are comfortable.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it's a rolling program, so you do it every month.
We would look at it,
So you gotta do it at some point every month. That was,
you can, there's lots of ways to do that. So that is again something we can talk about. If prices are really favorable, we would go ahead and add them.
and
If
lock it
they,
in longer.
correct, if they
If
don't,
higher, you would hold off
we
on
wait,
auction.
correct. Yep, so like the middle of winter is not a good time to do it. Shoulder months when they, if they come out, and they think it's gonna be a warm winter, prices might drop, and that's when we might lock in more. So again,
I
we're
lock in a lot of this usage right now.
correct.
With John or the city staff always keep
Yeah.
communication with you. for that.
Absolutely.
It takes both sides, not just you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a matter of we can get a hold of him for an answer much quicker than we can
Sure.
schedule a council. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 6B. Council to discuss agreement D0277 RIF grant to replace asbestos concrete water main and take any actions deemed necessary.
Best is main, the water line for the water tower, 4 point.
Motion to approve.
Second.
John Govan engaged.
Well, this one.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton. Yes. Councilmember Woodhull,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry,
Yes.
Mayor Petrich.
Yes. Agenda item 6C, council to officially qualify candidates for the city council and take any action deemed necessary.
Yesterday. Or.
By this individually,
The need
do this individually.
qualify.
Long story.
Hmm. So they, all four of them have met the qualifications.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept,
Second.
Councilmember Bryant,
yes.
Councilmember Hampton,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodhull,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langevin,
Yes.
Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Agenda item 6B, council to continue discussion on the city manager's recommended 5-year capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2024 through 2029 and take any actions deemed necessary.
We can make some changes today to it, but it has to be adopted for the next meeting. That'll be the last time.
Are we gonna get a fresh copy?
Please.
But if y'all, something added in there, let me know before the next time.
I just have.
Oh, you actually, you want to look at it
Adopted by,
next meeting.
at the next meeting.
At the next meeting.
By July 1st, which next meeting.
Ms. Lee, did you have a question?
Yes. What, mine's about the road paving situation. I have two, just down the list now, that which is LaCour and, what was the other one? Just, yes. What are we gonna do when it comes to, because I know we were saying something about it was gonna cost over $1 million. Are we looking for grants to get that done, or because it's not their fault when that subdivision came in, that whoever decided to vote for those type of roads to be put out there, that they're in the shape they're in now. So are we looking for grants to do that, or what are we doing?
I'll wait for that. The last week, the week before, we approved the DOT to do the analysis of all the streets.
Okay,
I
okay,
have that document in my hand, so that'd be easier to hand.
Okay.
For grants.
okay.
Any idea what the timeline is?
What that document does not have in it, it will never have in it, is the political
So
portion that gets.
I don't like about it.
What's read you say?
Or and,
Score and Judson.
yeah, those are the ones that we were saying was gonna cost over almost $1 million to get them repaid.
The corner's not terrible, it's at the very end.
That's so cul-de-sac, yeah.
Judson's pretty bad all the way.
Uh-huh.
This is all that sand we have.
Yes. Their road has not been done since the subdivisions were built.
It's been a while now. I guess we all have some in the same,
Okay.
on the 5-year plan. Now we'll move on to agenda item 6E. Council to review cash report 2023, 2024. Any actions deemed necessary.
Next meeting,
It's just an updated.
They discuss.
We're still working on breaking out that 500,000. How did you see it go? It's about to see you. It's getting that 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting experience. Thanks. You had a question that was, or 106, that's that plow truck. That was.
This gas, well, the general fund, 15,000 compared to,
Okay.
The first report, it was my first week, that should be in the CV line.
Mhm.
I include extra $500,000 that we didn't get.
Okay.
but
There's an original CD.
I'm looking at the April and, for whatever reason, it's over 4. I don't know.
That's what that's where you added it in, is.
No.
You do it. Yeah, it's a week.
Double counting.
Look at the expenses to see what we paid out.
At the 0.1 in the gas fund right now.
If you want to look at the budget comparison right now, you can go to.
3.1 plus 500,
100 is the.
so it's back to 1.6, or is that 3.1? Then it's going.
1.6. Somebody got to the owner got fired over that.
Okay.
They were happy with it.
Then on the May report. Anyone? Accept approval of the minutes for the May 20 corrections or anything on that.
Councilmember Brian.
Yes.
Councilmember Lee.
Yes.
Mayor.
Report. Finance Department.
We will have an auditor here at the next meeting.
In hand.
Well, we just got the, entries and it's been pretty much, we're tooling it now.
Fire Department.
Start, this Monday. And, hold on, I can't remember, but they're gonna mill them, okay, because some of the other two, we told them that's fine, but it's
Okay.
gonna be Long Ridge Brown, Bacon, and Resolve.
Yeah. The flushing all going pretty good.
Did on the moment, they're waiting on position.
Oh. Depends on where you are. Not clear.
I'll say to that, if they have a complaint, all of us find out, and then call City Hall about the complaint.
Unity page,
What's that?
the water. I don't know if you all ever read Facebook community pages. We could find out a lot if we did. I do.
I don't get on with that.
Yeah, some of it is kind of.
And if I do, it's when I'm at home and I don't think about it the next day.
Some is kind of, but they all talk about the same thing. Shall we go into it?
They need to really call us. I know people get frustrated with being on Facebook, but unless they call us, we
I know,
can't fix the problem.
I know.
If you don't
It's-
know.
And we're not getting on Facebook during the day to check to see who's complaining. They need to, call us.
Sometimes they just pop up.
I'm asking, is could we just say if you have a problem, call us? You know, that's what I'm asking.
Well, we have the very web page we put on here as well. But I don't think that's as heavily read as the gossip columns, so.
Basically, it's out there. Thank you, John.
Okay, wastewater.
We've got, the lining guys coming back next week to finish up their stuff. We've had Mont McDonald, go around to all the lift stations, doing, pump down tests, taking pictures as well as bottled water. That's to do with the grant John applied for. And that's pretty much it.
Very good. Natural gas. Parks and Rec.
We're pretty good too.
Okay. City Council, Mr.
The exercise, it's fine.
Yes,
It is. It is nice.
Now's your time to brag.
Is it my time?
It's your time.
Y'all already know about
Mhm.
He finally got to me. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. It's very much appreciated. I don't know if I'll be able to move any of it, but I'm gonna try.
it.
Yes, I haven't figured anything about it yet. I don't think anyone really knows this thing.
It's got a set, it's got a set in there. Probably by this weekend or Monday, I'll take the tape off.
I'm gonna say, got tape running right now.
Yeah, I don't leave it on the tape.
That's why I haven't put
Probably
anything up
Monday.
yet.
Just a set with the.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carly and Miss Penny, for putting them to what is it called?
Electronic
So
sign.
electronic side. Everything is looking good for the Juneteenth Gospel Jubilee. And if you all can, please show up. Community has been very well receptive. I was able to get all the funds I needed. And someone talked to Chamber of Commerce and they contributed $300. Yes, I appreciate it. 11 o'clock Saturday. See you guys if you can make it. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Landry?
I proposed several months ago that we may move to a once a week pickup on the garbage, hoping that would free up trucks and drivers to pick up trash more often. Have we made any progress in that area? Looked into it, thought about it.
Add it to the next agenda, but we can talk about it now. I'm all for it. Unless everybody move in that direction anyway.
Nope.
I don't think it.
Where,
Y'all are saying that it won't work, but there are a lot of cities that are doing it and it is working.
Where- my first question is, where are you gonna get the money
For what?
to start it up? Those cans will not hold. You
We
gotta
just,
replace every
we
one of those
just
cans.
ordered, how many cans did you order?
We hadn't ordered any this year. We did last year. We still have a bunch of cans, but are you saying people get 2 cans?
Yeah, sure.
They're gonna have to pay for them.
No,
Did we
Unless,
furnish-
unless
did
then we say they
furnish-
don't, but they will have to pay for them, wouldn't they, Danielle?
People that have paid, have 2 cans now, there are a few, because they have large families,
Mhm.
they do have to pay double the garbage fee, double the landfill. fee.
Exactly.
No, that's not where I was going.
Well, I know, but that's what we're doing.
That's not where I'm going.
So where you going with it?
You get, if they've got a lot, you give them 2 cans. We still gonna pick it up once a week. Or 3 cans, whatever they need. That frees up drivers and trucks to pick up the trash, which is killing us. You can't drive down the street in Perry without seeing piles and piles and piles and piles of trash. I know a lot of it came from the hurricane, but not all of it. Every time we have a storm, there's more trash down.
Biggest concern is, does that pile become your new garbage can? Does that become your pile where you put your household garbage?
And that has happened.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Some people are doing it now.
As it is.
Ms. Landry, we talked about getting a roll-off. Why can't we just try it? And Bill was out when we were discussing that. And like you had said, and Captain or Chief Cruz, what we've been doing isn't working. We need to do something different. And, our roll-offs, what did I say, $305 or $350 per time that they have to, every time they pull the dumpster. These are the same things that are sitting in people's yards when they take the roofs off. Get these roll-off sites, get it on one of our lots there by our compound now, and try it for half a year. It's free dumping. Let
I
them
don't have a
dump.
problem with that, but I
You
can't,
said you were
I
afraid kids
can't,
were gonna crawl into
I
it.
can't do that. And we have a lot of senior citizens and they can't do it either.
It's only a foot high.
I'm talking about getting it from my house to the roll-off. I can't do that.
Well, there are services available. It's a tool. You figure if they're taking these mattresses and everything and dumping them on Dixie, they're stealing somebody's pickup truck to do that.
And taking them down by the men's club and dumping them back there.
They're haunted.
Cause they done made the men's club a whole dump site now.
I'm not arguing that we don't need a roll-off,
But you
somewhere
said,
for
I'll tell you,
that.
Madison County has them.
But that's more for
You
white
have to
goods.
lift it
It's not
7 foot
for
up.
trash.
I don't wanna do that. If you just let us try. If you said you didn't wanna do that, maybe you'll only.
They've got-
No, I don't want to do that in lieu of the once a week pickup and freeing up the trucks and the drivers to get the trash.
You can do both.
Ms. Hampton?
they've got, lower containers.
That's what I'm
They
talking
do.
about.
Mhm.
Yes, where they've got the doors and it's about a foot or 2
Yeah.
high.
Say it louder.
Ms. Hampton?
Thank you. I think the only solution is enforcement. Till we start charging these people for littering and dumping, whatever you might want to call it, they're gonna continue to do it. changing the number of days you pick up garbage. It's not gonna change.
I
That's not where the
disagree with
problem-
that.
All of this that we're talking about is illegal dumpings and stuff.
A lot of it
They
is.
find, they go from one place to the other and dump.
I know we have some,
You gotta find out who it is.
but that's not what I'm talking about.
And then that's
But-
another
But you
thing.
got trucks on the highway and all that paper.
I
that's
agree with
back.
that enforcement, it's all over the county, it needs to be done,
Well,
not
yeah.
just the city, the county,
It's-
city.
The issue with enforcement is they didn't dump there.
Exactly, that's what you
And it's
get.
not approved,
Mhm.
and we're still picking it up.
And you don't have been, our code compliance officer is up to his eyeballs already.
And your officers, you're already short with them, they got enough on their table.
And half the time, how are you gonna tell whose mattress that is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
Still enforcement is-
Negative.
If you can
And
get,
we need a whole meeting to discuss this.
I agree with that. It's gonna take a while.
Workshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That'll work.
Maybe the community can help us with this. Invite them.
Ms. Landry, do you have anything else you'd like?
no, I'm only trying to solve one problem, not all those extraneous problems. The one problem of the trash, not the white goods, not the, big stuff, just the trash. And my suggestion is to go to one a week pickup on the garbage, which frees the drivers and the trucks to pick up the trash more often. That's it.
I had once a week pick up Forest Creek.
You have what?
I want once a week pick up. Forest good.
how many in your family?
Three.
Okay, that's why it works so good.
You can choose that.
You know, live in the city.
I live in the city. You can choose that.
Not,
You
He's the county.
He in the county,
Oh,
they got ain't a private company that does it for you guys? Yeah.
They could pick that up once a month. and have it, okay?
Yeah, my house will be fine, but I'm talking about other people.
A whole lot.
Yes.
They can get more than one can. They don't have to pay extra to have it more than one.
Because
They
it's
might-
whatever you decide, if you change
That's
that,
right.
and you decide we'll charge them, we won't charge them, you can have up to 2 cans.
So Danielle, if we do decide to do that, would that free up some of you guys to get the trash up?
we had our garbage trucks up and running. It
Yeah.
will free up 2 extra men, but right now we're having such issues with garbage trucks.
You talking about this big one-armed units?
Mhm.
They're no good. Are they?
Hey, Miss Benita?
And that's what we ordered again, the new trucks,
Yeah,
huh?
we haven't ordered garbage trucks yet.
What
That's
did we order?
trash.
Budget year, we're gonna get them.
How you gonna pay for them? How you gonna pay for them?
ARPA,
Oh,
What
we've
did-
got to do something.
we gotta burn through that.
I'm telling you, it's killing.
Yeah, when is the deadline for it, Ms. Lee?
26,
Okay,
we're good for.
There was one day, both our garbage trucks were down and the rear loader.
dang.
We discussed that this morning and maybe look for an upgraded version, a different company.
Yeah, I think.
Let's do it.
Check with some other cities
Well,
and
the
see what
trouble
they do.
is, there's with those side loaders, they forget.
Mhm.
And we're gonna have to hire more men.
Is it anything better out there,
That's
Danielle?
fine.
Is it anything better out there than that side loader?
That side loader we rented, a lot better. than what we got.
Yeah, the one that we rented that time, they liked it a lot better, a lot smoother.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We want to do away with the ones we have now.
Gotcha. Great.
Miss Benita? Mr. Grimes?
Yes. sir. Street paving. We budgeted $1 million and it came in at less than that. I made a comment once that, when this council votes on something that's in concrete, but we've got other streets, I'm looking at just some of these one block streets that we ought to pick up as we're in the area and get them paved now. You know, this, well, Duval, I don't know what it's around or anything, but
It's an area of
You know,
Macon.
Church on that street.
it's, I was surprised at their bid.
What's it?
I was
Right.
shocked.
Mhm, mhm.
I
And
put on that list, but I thought it was gonna be about 1.2 million. Not 300.
you did, yeah,
How much?
but we need to pick up some of these one block streets who,
How do you do it legally? You would piggyback on the,
oh, it's just,
You piggyback on.
just a change order.
It's a change order, exactly.
Yeah, it's nothing, not a big deal.
Linear foot or anything like that. They bid
Right.
on actual- They bid on the actual street, so I don't know how you add another street, because they didn't bid by linear foot or, you know what I mean?
Well, it is by linear foot, but yeah, no, there's no problem doing that, change order,
Offer it.
let's do it.
Just communicate with them and I'll quit.
I dare you.
Yeah, well,
Also.
That's as simple as doing it if the council wants to do it.
Yeah.
We got the budget for it.
John can, or whoever doing it,
And this is coming out of the local option gas tax.
yeah, yeah.
So Daniel, we gotta make sure that's, so I'm sure you don't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
A while back, they used to do it by neighbor.
That's how they computed,
Yeah, but
yeah,
for some reason,
so that's not.
and I thought doing it by neighborhood was great.
Well, some neighborhoods need it worse than others. And to me, you need to address the ones
That's what they-
that needs it worse.
That's what that report you're gonna get from DOT is gonna do for you, correct?
was basically-
I think we're very fortunate to get the bid we got on these one block,
Yeah, that
two
was
block
nice.
streets.
Mhm.
You saw the interest in doing that, and that's because these streets are so short and moving equipment.
Danielle, didn't you say we were billing a couple? Starting
Start
from,
free, not this Monday, the following. They're gonna bill them and then pay them. And then they'll move on down the list. I haven't went.
who is they? Is that coming out of our budgeted funds or is
Yes,
this,
ma'am, BB,
okay,
paving contractor.
okay. But that's not part of the grant that we're going at.
That's the budget, or what we
Okay,
did,
okay.
it's those streets.
All right.
Then yeah, they were over on Folsom Department. What were they doing over there today? The DOT was,
They're
they were picking up
Yeah, they're
trash.
picking up trash, yeah, they are.
Okay.
They've already picked up, they started on the south and east side, and they've moved up.
Okay,
And there's another crew that's supposed to be, so I guess they finally started,
Okay.
so, yes, thank goodness.
yes.
Shut the water service line while they're picking up some trash.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very helpful.
So that means the city don't have to pick it up.
Well, some of these streets, yes, we are picking up these small piles, they're getting real big piles.
Some of the old hurricane leftovers.
Yeah.
We're getting the tornado. That's the emergency.
There is a lot of huge piles.
It is, yes, yes.
I saw them.
Huge. Mhm.
That retention pond between, was it Cedar and Oak is really bad. Remember you telling me about,
Yeah, that's all private, they own it, yeah, the city don't own.
I was told it was a retention pond for the
it.
city.
Yeah.
They just.
Our agreement or our, what is it called, easement with them, we have like a, because they called me about it, and I explained to them what the easement said. We don't maintain it. I think before in the past, somebody had to maintain it, but we do not maintain it. We have to provide the fence, keep the fence up. Yes, yeah, and we do give them, mosquito, put mosquito stuff in. But no, that's all privately owned.
I was just misinformed.
What about streets?
But
We go ahead or not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got the money.
yeah, we got that money.
Second.
It's not that many, but you won't get anybody to come in and do a one block street.
So you want like John to look at the map that they are doing and then see the little peripherals to figure out, let's add this,
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
what do you do it for?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
While you're here,
Yeah.
While you're here.
Yeah.
And if we got a little bit more under the budget, then we'll keep looking.
Still, you say piggyback off of that, they bid on the actual strip itself.
It's a change order and or you're still, just like it says when I read up the bids, that we can continue to negotiate with them on it here. So.
He taking hard on it too.
If we're ready to
All of them.
It's okay, son.
Not 300%, it's gonna do it that way.
They've done it.
I mean, it's a piggyback, I mean, you can, either way you want to call it, change order, piggyback, and then it's just like we, had people here working on, stuff, and then we get a sinkhole underneath stuff, and we're using, North Florida or wherever, because this is what they do, so.
You already have a list. Go back in.
We had motion.
Like,
Councilman O'Brien.
yes,
Councilman Woodball.
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton. Yes. Vice Mayor Landry.
what am I voting for?
Adding street.
change over the streets.
Yes,
Mayor Catchman.
yes.
on a motion to adjourn.
I haven't had my say yet.
I'll tell you again, if that money was collected to pave streets, if we don't pave streets, somebody's gonna spend it on operations.
That's right, you're
So,
right.
There you go.
Let's fix the streets. I'm with you. I just got lost along the way.
My turn now?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll take it up myself.
Yes.